Hey guys, and welcome to the show. Exciting news this week as we finally saw the Revenant in action. Friday's Point of Interest had John Peters and Roy Conacher showing off the new class to a pretty large stream audience, in Guild Wars terms anyway. Now, as John and Roy stated, what we saw on Friday obviously isn't the finished class. We only had 3 weapons, 3 trait lines and 2 legends, but it did give us a great overview of the sort of style the Revenant might well be going for, as well as allowing us to start speculating on how useful they will be in PvP, or at least in regards to the legends that we already know about. So let's talk the basics of the Revenant. The new class is getting good use of brand new tech that ranges from basic UI effects all the way up to awesome directional based skills that require positioning to utilize effectively. There is no weapon swapping, and from what I can tell, each weapon set we've been shown so far favors one of the 2 legends that we know about. The hammer clearly appears to benefit the Jalis Iron Hammer legend, while the Mace Axe combo favors Malek's. My reasoning for this is that the hammer seems to be a weapon that's filled with more control and defensive style skills, things like Phase Smash that inflicts chill, Drop the Hammer that knocks foes down, or Field of Mists that blocks all projectiles in front of you. On the flip side, the Mace and Axe heavily inflicts conditions, utilizing the Torment condition massively. That's a perfect fit then for Malek's and his condition-based utilities. This is interesting because it leads into the concept that most Revenant builds will be built around favouring one specific legend in order to tie in with the weapon skills, even if they have access to the 2. This idea seems to be supported trait-wise too, as it would appear that each legend has his own trait line. This would also explain why we only had the 3 trait lines available during this gameplay, as the other 2 trait lines may well belong to the 2 legends that we don't know yet. So build wise, it looks like each Revenant you encounter may well be built to favour one legend specifically, meaning his weakest point will be when you can force him to switch to his less preferred legend. While he won't suddenly become useless, he will be less effective until he can switch back into that optimal choice. Hopefully this is some big counterplay to the Revenant. You force them into their unoptimal legend and you take them out while they're playing that. So let's just talk quickly about the 2 legends. They offer very different playstyles. Jalis Iron Hammer offers what appears to be a more traditionally tanky style of play. His utilities revolve around controlling your enemies and buffing your allies. For instance, forced engagement slows and taunts your enemy, causing them to run at you with all of their skills locked bar their stun breaks and auto attack until the taunt runs out, while inspiring reinforcement gives vulnerability stacks to your enemies and stability stacks to your allies. Wait, stability stacks? Don't you mean a few seconds of stability? No, I mean stability stacks. ArenaNet appears to be changing stability to a stackable buff, with 1 CC removing 1 stack of stability. This opens the door for removing stability via coordinated bursts of CC. This change is going to make stability stomping in PvP more difficult than it is currently. Now, stop distracting me. Let's talk briefly about Malek's. His utilities entirely revolve around dealing out conditions, and his utilities will often be more powerful if he has conditions on himself. Necros have carefully dipped their toes into the water of skills changing based on your own conditions, but it looks like the Revenant is cannonballing into this pool. Both legends make good use of the new boons, conditions and status effects being brought in with the expansion. Malek's has utilities that grant him resistance, meaning conditions do no damage while the boon is active. This blends well with the fact that he wants to have conditions on him at all times, while Jalis has access to both slow and taunt, meaning he can keep enemies in his control as long as he has the energy to do so. All in all, this is a very exciting first look at the Revenant, and I'm stoked to see where we go from here. Alright, now, let's move on to the PvP. We only had 2 tournaments this week, and in all honesty, they weren't the best tournaments we've ever seen on the EU side. Thursday's ESL Weekly Cup did see a new map rotation, chucking Battle of Kylo to the curb and bringing in Temple of the Silent Storm to replace it. And then, to make sure Temple actually got played regularly, they swapped up the rotation for good measure, throwing Legacy on first, then Temple, and finally Forest if a 3rd game was needed. It was a pretty rushed tournament though, to be honest, with the team seemingly wanting it to be over with as fast as possible. Jebber and Chronic even nearly missed the beginning of their opening quarterfinal stream. Dragunners ran out victors in this tournament, although I don't think they'll be boasting about this one anytime soon. The French team, previously known as Evil Gnuniuses, really only had one difficult match on Thursday when they had to take up 55 HP monks in the quarterfinals. After dealing with a 55 HP monks team that featured George on Mesmer and Misha on Thief, DG had a semi-final against a team that got through due to a bye in the round of 16 and a no-show in the quarterfinals. Ender's Chewing Gum really didn't stand a chance unfortunately, and DG breezed into the finals where they were supposed to face Orange Logo. Orange Logo, however, forfeited the final when one member had to drop out before the game even started. Now, personally, I would have replaced Orange Logo in the final with the semi-finalists they beat, Fnatic Plush Griffins, as it didn't quite seem fair to me to reward Orange Logo with 800 gems for not playing in the final. I suppose, however, they did earn their way there, taking out Toxic Community, Zeus, and the aforementioned Fnatic Plush Griffins on the way. Then on Sunday we had our weekly Go for Guild Wars 2 Cup, and honestly it was a really disappointing turnout with only 5 teams participating. One of those 5 teams were Orange Logo, who won the tournament fairly comfortably, netting themselves another €400. Orange Logo, who got a bye through the quarters, took out one of the more impressive recent teams in Drug Gunners very comfortably in the semis, winning both games with over a 200-point lead, before they followed that up with another 2-0 victory over 55 HP Monks in the final. The final itself was a pretty close affair, however. The first game on Forest came down to a 28-point gap in favour of Orange Logo. 55 HP Monks can be commended in this game for their sportsmanship after a disconnect by Denshi and Orange Logo led to Carsabe AFKing to bring it down to an even 4v4. This means that they didn't abuse their man advantage to win the game, which they almost certainly would have done had Carsabe continued playing. Game 2 on Legacy did end up a little more in Orange Logo's favour, however. After a really close start, the EU WTS representatives began to snowball over 55 HP Monks, something that is very easy to do on Legacy. This led to 55 HP Monks calling GG when down 200 points. So congratulations to both Drug Gunners and Orange Logo for their wins this week. That's it for me. As usual, I'll put links to the actual games below, and I'll see you all next week.